So you can plan to quit your startup after 5 years and then ask yourself, why did I quit my startup? I don't know. I'd say I wonder sometimes, I have not read this article.
Mhm.
I wonder how many people who've actually like started multiple companies actually contribute and write these things.
Good question.
Maybe it is coming from that perspective, but I'm obviously in that space. Um, I don't know. What are some of these points here?
Yeah, so first point is you'll build a stronger, more valuable company if you focus on exiting in 5 years.
Tell that to Mark Zuckerberg. Tell
Or
that to
anybody.
Dorsey. Tell that to
Yeah.
Dorsey. Tell that to Elon Musk. Tell
Bill
that to Bill
Gates.
Bill Gates. Tell it to Larry Ellison. You want to keep going? That's why it's just like, and then you can say, well, you're picking the outliers, but that list can go on for quite a long time. If you start looking at even retail companies, fashion companies, Chipotle grill to an extent. What would happen if the dude gave up in like 5 years?
Right.
I'd be eating Cadoba right now, right? Like, again, it's just I wonder where some of this stuff comes from. Thinking that you can just launch, get it to near profitability in 5 years, go IPO, and like the founder steps away. A lot of times, the founder steps away, and the company loses, its heart.
Yeah.
Um, is maybe maybe they can step away one day. It's just 5 years, Kane's not a lot of time anymore.
Mhm.
Goes by so fast. What's his line say? Most rookie founders instinctively put a great team together around themselves. This decreases the overall value of the business because outsiders assume the company will only function with you in the driver's seat. Well, the thing is, it's if you're trying to go through hyper growth and you're Steve Jobs, they don't want to replace you. Like,
Right.
that's where a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense. Um, there's people that are replaceable and there's people that aren't replaceable. And I mean, that's the difference in this article right now is can you figure out who's replaceable and not? It's easy to replace somebody once a thing's $100 billion.
Yeah.
Not easy, but it's certainly more feasible than trying to replace Steve Jobs before he came up with the iPhone stuff. Um, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. I was one thought that I have, James, is that to most people get into entrepreneurship having, I mean, it'll be your first venture into entrepreneurship, right? For most people, typically, not a lot of people get the exit and then start again and start again. So if you're talking about first time founders, 5 years, the idea that you have enough skill and enough knowledge to get a business to a state where it's attractive enough after 5 years to say that somebody would want to buy it, I think that's a big assumption. A big assumption.
Because we're analyzing these like unicorn type companies, and then we think that's the only kind of business that exists out there.
Right, right.
Kane, 5 years in to like building one of my first companies that actually made millions. 5 years in, within like the first year or two, I had to deal with a recession, and then by the time you recovered from that, another 5 6 years, the 2008 hit. Another recession that set you back like 2 or 3 years. Like, this is how real business is. And I don't want to say that these unicorn tech um, giants aren't real business. I'm just saying for the other 99% of businesses that aren't going to get like hundreds of millions of dollars in financing, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
At 5 years, you're still grinding out and trying to establish a name and some brand equity. So this is a great article if you think everything's going to be $1 billion app, but it's not. And that's what it's like. No one ever writes about what average Joe's going through in the business world. If you got a
Yeah.
5 10 maybe that's not even average, but 5 10 $25 million business, um, you're like just chump change. Like, you're no different than running a Subway franchise compared to someone that's the size of Tesla. But every piece of content seems to be created around as if every company acts like this giant tech conglomerate. and it's just not realistic for the rest of us.
Yeah. I think Bird, the scooter company, just IPO'd, and they, I think they're a 4-year-old company, so it's being lauded as like this great success. Oh, look, it can go from like nothing to IPO in 4 years. But you have to assume how much like VC money's gone into that company, and then the VCs that are backed that company, the kinds of companies that they've built beforehand, like the amount of knowledge required just to get a company from zero to IPO in 4 years, and that be a special thing. The idea that, oh dear, like any old Joe Schmo start a business and think that you can exit in 5, I'm still at a loss as to even the premise of this story.
I'm sure it makes sense for somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
As someone that has a dozen plus company and brands under their belt, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, I'm not a billionaire, so it's how many billionaires are reading this thing though? Like this is where content has gone off the rails.
Yeah.
Next one, you'll lose your way. The early
You
years
won't
of
lose
small,
your way.
you won't lose your way.
Yeah.
I'm reading too fast. Can't even read it all some days.
Oh, good.
The early years of a small business are vortex of accounting and ordering and schlepping, and most of them are swiftly lose sight of their goals. Says who? Small business coach. Okay. I'm curious how many X's the business coach has. To me, it's like academia, Kane. It's like you got a professor standing in front of you telling what you need to do when they've never done it before. They only read about it. That's the equivalent of me of like watching welding videos on YouTube and then jumping outside and trying to weld and fix something. I probably electrocute myself if I did that. It ain't about losing your way. Like for me personally, I love this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't plan to ever retire. As long as I can I'm going to keep starting stuff, blowing it up, selling them, building it like this. We love this stuff, Kane.
Yeah.
Like, it ain't about ordering and schlepping. These are the things you need to get done. Do you think Michael Jordan enjoyed sitting there and shooting hundreds, if not 1,000 free throws every day?
I doubt it.
That is what you do if you want it bad enough to win and succeed. This article's ridiculous. Keep going.
Let's keep going because I'll take us back.
No, you got something. You sound frustrated. Go.
Just the idea that you would blame the early years of a small business, as you said, are accounting, ordering, schlepping. So the fact that you focus on a 5-year plan means that stuff doesn't exist anymore. I don't know.
Kane, how easy is accounting?
Yeah.
I save that stuff for Saturday. I'd get up Saturday morning and like just do invoices, or I can clean up my GL, at nighttime while I'm like eating a plate of cheese and drinking a bottle of wine. Sound like a real aristocrat. It's like dumb work. I can sit there with my laptop while I'm watching a stupid series on TV and do that kind of work. It's like, that's not losing my way. The reality of it is, if you want to succeed in business, you roll up your damn sleeves and you make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. This next one's going to infuriate you.
You prioritize your career over what does that mean? This is a good thing and preferable to the alternative and exhausting forever job. What are you talking about? If you build a business, for some people, that's our baby. Like, you look at if your company color is green, you bleed green. It's like, this is the thing you created and you want to see your ideas blow up. So close your eyes and envision a couple resounding successes for you at the 5-year mark. When you thought that much through and what your goals are, questions like, does it make sense for me to continue operating this business? Wow.
The premise is starting to disappear, because the idea again that you have a business that is a forever job means that your business isn't big enough to where anybody would be attracted to buying it, because you know what I mean? With scale, I think you don't have exhausting forever jobs, and then that's the only way that anybody's going to come in and buy it. So it's already lost.
But have you noticed how many people put their name in their business? Especially on like
Yeah.
this, because that's them.
Yeah.
Like this isn't a forever job. This is me.
Yeah.
This is my passion. This is my name on the company for some people, right? This is my idea. This is something I created. This is something I built. This ain't a job. This is my life. A job is when you got to go clock in somewhere and you got a boss telling you what to do and someone else is signing your check. It's not a forever job when you're signing the bottom of your own check. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I
like
think
what I get.
yeah, go on, James. Sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
Maybe their definition of exit is just stopping versus an actual sale at the end, because that would, in my mind, be the only way that this would make sense.
I see an article that sounds nothing like the entrepreneurs, the serial entrepreneurs, the angel investors, the small VCs I know. It's we live and breathe this stuff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's like we don't talk about any of this stuff, man. The people in my circle that got, 20, 30, $50 million businesses, they're not talking about this stuff. They're talking about how to get more. What are you talking? They're trying to, how do I go from 50 million to 100 million? How do I get from 100 million to 150 million? And then they might start thinking exit, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to exit and then go chill on a boat somewhere. They're thinking, what's next? Some people want to build that stuff up forever and pass it down to their kids, man.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
maybe it's back to my outlook on, I don't look forward to like Fridays. I hate Fridays because business is slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't hate Mondays. I love Mondays. Sunday night's awesome. That we're getting back to things will start moving tomorrow. Like I love this stuff, man. And I'm not sitting around saying this is my forever job. What do you are? What's that movie? Office Space? Oh, you got a case of the Mondays? Like that's not how we think. Like the amount of sacrifice you make as an entrepreneur to succeed, you don't think that way, man.
Yeah.
It's an infuriating article.
This next one. Oh dear.
You won't torture yourself asking. So, entrepreneurs frequently like a backup plan. Yeah, sometimes there's sometimes your plan B is to complete plan A. There is no plan B. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And everyone's got anxiety. You know what anxiety is? I've been in business for 20 years. I had to survive 3 recessions and a pandemic. And I bring that up often because it just comes with the territory, man. No risk, no goddamn reward.
Yep. Yep.
A byproduct of a 5-year plan is that you'll likely have a vision of what you want to do next. But what if you can do this for 15 years and be happy and make 4 times as much money? It's just like, this is why I don't listen to people. Man, if I listened to these people, I'd be broke and like managing a Panera Bread right now. Hey, like at least Panera yeah, the thing is, at least Panera Bread would have 4 people working right now instead of 3.
Yeah.
That's it. Though it can be scary to think through the worst case scenario, being prepared for it is empowering. Says Goldstein, chief executive, over-the-counter medication company. Rather than worried about failure, you can focus on succeeding. But if you're not like trying to do everything you can, if you're already thinking, it's like those people that their work's done at 5 o'clock, but they're already mentally checked out at 3:30, and they don't get like nothing done for that last hour and a half.
Yep.
And then they can't figure out why they're not seeing the results in their career. If you're already thinking about getting out of something and your head's not in the game, you lose. It's like it's a very, you're already looking for an escape plan. People do that in relationships. Like they're just barely getting into the relationship. They're already starting to think about getting out of it. I don't know why my last relationship worked out. Because you weren't committed. Jesus Christ.
That's funny. My goodness.
I'm going to start writing content. I can write
yeah.
You might actually leave on your own free will. I don't even want to read this. I'm just like scanning through it really fast. Knowing what I know now, my business was absolutely horrible idea, he says. I should have gotten rid of it 5 years earlier. Well, if you got a bad business, you're supposed to let it go. So I don't think anyone's saying like hang on to a bad business for 5 more years. Well, that's just stupid.
Oh dear.
But what's crazy is I just think about like this is journalism or this is content today, and then right now I feel bad that there's some like future entrepreneur or small business owner that's reading this and saying like, oh, maybe I shouldn't even start a business. Man, the people I know that go ahead.
I was gonna say, or there's somebody who's 2 years into a business and it's starting to get hard, and they're thinking, you know what, the solution is I've got to think about a 5-year exit. It's like that'll clear up everything.
Yeah, imagine like you exited 5 years. Who's a? I don't even know if the story is true or not. I remember watching the Social Network movie, and Timberlake is talking to whoever Zuckerberg is supposed to be. And he talks about the Victoria's Secret guy, selling his company for like $1 million or something. $1 million, 5 million, I don't know. And then like 5 years later, it's worth like $1 billion. And then the founder of Victoria's Secret like jumps off a bridge or something. I'm probably screwing that whole story up, but it sounds like the guy just sold too early, and he missed out on probably like $1 billion. And it's like, why set a date? Like this isn't the milk in the fridge that's gonna expire.
Yeah.
You set a goal on where you want to be as a business. You and I talk about this on exits. We know on some of the companies we want to exit that we're looking at this amount of earnings, and based on research, we know that, well, we also know that a company size with X amount of employees and X amount of revenue to reach a certain level of stability where the roller coaster starts to end. So you kind of like aim for this many employees and not just revenue, but this much earnings so you have cash flow. And then you know that's when the stability happens. And then you look at growth to get to that target of EBITDA to match up with what you know is going to be a decent multiplier. And that's, you know, that's how you and I talk about exits. It's not a 5-year thing. It's, well, here's the metrics we need to establish to get the kind of exit we want. Is that 3 years or 5 years or 7 years? I don't know. But we know that when we get here, this is what we're trying to achieve. This thing's telling you, you don't want a forever job. No, but I do want to cash out a company or two for 150 million. I don't know. That's just me.
No, I get it. The timeline is just to place urgency on what the more important thing is, which is actually understanding the metrics that you need to get to achieve the multiple.
Yeah, it's I'm happy we do this series because I feel like there's so much. I don't even go on LinkedIn anymore. There's so much like bad insights and advice. I just like don't even read that garbage anymore. And even some of the mainstream media, I just like, they put a request out there for like quotes. We know how the PR industry works. We own a company that does PR. These people like just do requests for quotes, and then they take these quotes and they glue an article together. And it's like, I don't know anybody. I'm not talking small stuff, Kane. I'm talking the 10, 20, 30, $40 million companies that people I know. We're not talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
We don't think like this. It's very opposite of what I feel is going on in the real world. If you got a business that's going to be kind of flailing for 10 years and it was kind of a bad idea, then you probably should get out of it. But
right.
I don't.
And that's got nothing to do with setting a 5-year target, right? Like you either know or you don't early or late. It doesn't matter. The fact that you're 5 years in and it's just completely irrelevant. I don't understand.
What if it's those people that like run a family business for like 40 years and they're happy?
Yeah.
Like that's their life work. It might be a restaurant. I'm like, who knows what it is? What's wrong with that?
Yeah, great point.
Why do I have to end something in 5 years and move on to the next thing? Which we're about to talk about in another episode. That's where the world's going now. The world's going towards where the asset class is overvalued you're watching the consumption of businesses increase. So the new hot thing is going to be building business to sell.
Mhm.
Not like trying to build your life's work, like try to get something up and get it established and get it making money and sell it. Take that money, start another business, get it built up, sell it. That's the new. You're creating companies that are producing predictable cash flow every year, and like you're just building an asset up, and then you're selling it, and you go to the next one. So that's going to be the next episode, because it seems like that's where the world's going, man.
Yeah, that's such an interesting idea. Like an actual entrepreneur's guide to thinking about actually exiting in 5 years versus thinking that a 5-year exit means you won't ever have to do accounting or ordering or schlepping anymore.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if I even published it yet on my channel, but it said I did an episode on the silly stuff, the silly habits of rich people or like successful people, and it's like how we look up to Steve Jobs because he wore the same clothes every day. Because if he had to pick out clothes every day, he wouldn't be able to do his job.
Yeah.
They call it like decision fatigue.
Yeah.
And I like laugh at this shit. Like I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, you're telling me that if you can't figure out that I want the black merino wool sweater today with the dark jeans, that you're not going to be able to make some massive financial decision at 2 p.m. today? And again, it's like, so my thought is, well, maybe you're not that smart then. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we got some good content coming out here.
Yeah.
That's all I got for this one. I'm gonna go create my 5-year plan, and it's probably not gonna take much of this advice. That's me. That's all I got.
Sounds good.
I'll catch you.